I saw the seat number before anyone said a word. 3A. It was printed clearly on Kendra Wallace's boarding pass, which Aaron Blake was holding. Judith Carver was still sitting in that seat. Derek Sloan looked at the pass, looked at Kendra, then said, "Could you wait near the galley while we sort this out?" That was what caught my attention. I was sitting across the aisle. I was deadheading to New York for Crestway Air's quarterly loyalty review. I worked as a senior loyalty experience manager. That meant most weeks were about premium customers, retention scores, and how fast our teams closed complaints. Normally, I would have stayed out of an operating crew's decision. That morning I didn't. A few minutes earlier, Kendra had stopped by row 3, her leather travel bag at her ankle. Judith was already settled by the window. She had a tablet open and a scarf folded beside her. "I believe this is my seat," Kendra said. Judith looked at the boarding pass without reaching for her own. "Premium Services told me this seat might be available." Aaron came over with his hand held. He checked Kendra's pass first. 3A. Confirmed. Then he looked at Judith's record. She had been assigned elsewhere in the premium cabin, but a service note showed that someone had been discussing a possible move. That should have led to one question: who actually authorized the change? Instead, Aaron asked Kendra for identification. She handed it over. New argument. He matched the name and returned it. Then he turned to Judith. "Were you looking for a quieter seat or mainly a window?" I noticed the difference right away. Judith was being asked about preference. Kendra was being asked to prove she belonged. Derek arrived from the forward galley and reviewed the same information. "We're trying to keep boarding moving," he said. Kendra nodded toward 3A. "I understand. I'm asking you to verify the seat before asking either passenger to move." Her voice stayed level. Derek looked toward the line still entering the aircraft. "Would you mind waiting near the galley while we clear it?" Kendra did not step away. "I'd rather remain here until you know who was actually reassigned." A woman 2 rows behind us leaned into the aisle. "I saw her here before boarding got busy." Derek turned. The woman pointed toward Kendra. She had her bag at the seat already. "Thank you," Derek said. He did not ask her name. He did not write anything down. The witness leaned back again. I understood why. Nobody wanted to become part of a problem that might disappear in another minute. Then I saw Derek's screen. Near the top of the service request was a category I knew very well. Elite, Kari, Comfort Concern. Judith's loyalty tier was displayed directly beneath it. My department used that workflow to make sure high-value customers received fast attention when something went wrong. I had approved reports built around it. Until that moment, I had mostly seen the outcome as a number. Issue opened. Issue closed. Customer retained. I had never watched the cost move to another person in real time. Aaron lowered his voice. "If her seat is confirmed, what current basis do we have to keep the adjustment active?" Derek glanced at him. "Priority desk already handled it." That answer added authority. It added no fact. The woman behind us leaned forward again and looked at me. "If someone needs a statement, I'll give my name." That was when I stopped being only another passenger. I opened the employee incident contact form on my phone. I entered 3 things. Confirmed boarding pass, observed. Passenger asked to wait away from assigned seat. Independent witness available. I did not accuse anyone. I recorded what I had seen. Derek opened the detailed request. The comfort concern contained no specific behavior, no safety problem, no interference, nothing explaining why another passenger's confirmed seat should have been affected. He read the screen again. Then he picked up the cabin phone. "Hold departure." The boarding line stopped at the door. Kendra was still standing beside 3A. Judith was still sitting in it. But the question had changed. Crestway was no longer deciding who should move. We were about to find out why one person's discomfort had been allowed to displace someone else. Patrice Vaughn opened the service request on a larger screen in the gate conference room. I was sitting beside Derek Sloan. Kendra Wallace sat across from us. Judith Carver was near the end of the table with her arms folded, quieter than she had been on the aircraft. The first record belonged to Melissa Crane in Premium Services. Judith had asked about a quieter seat. Melissa had opened an Elite service request. Then she selected the category I had already seen on Derek's handheld. Elite, Kari. Comfort, concern. Patrice scrolled down. What behavior was reported? Nobody answered. She looked at Melissa's entry again. There was no threat, no interference, no safety issue, nothing showing that Kendra had done anything before her seat was affected. The request moved forward because Judith's loyalty status put it into priority handling. That was the mechanism, not a rule telling employees to distrust Kendra, a system telling them to solve Judith's problem quickly. Patrice turned toward Judith. Did you ask Melissa to remove Ms. Wallace from 3A? Judith shook her head. No. Did you say Ms. Wallace threatened you? No. Did you report any prohibited behavior? Judith paused. I said the situation made me uncomfortable. Kendra did not react. Patrice looked back at the screen. Melissa had converted that discomfort into a customer impact action without first speaking to Kendra. Judith's responsibility was becoming clearer. So was the airline's. Patrice turned toward me. Ethan, why does this category move so quickly? I knew the answer. My department had built the performance reports around it. Elite complaints are tracked for resolution time. How fast? I hesitated. For eligible issues, teams are expected to close them within 5 minutes when possible. Patrice looked at me. And what do we measure when closing one of those issues requires moving, questioning, or delaying another passenger? I looked at the scorecard on my laptop. Nothing. We measured retention, closure time, customer satisfaction. We did not measure who absorbed the solution. Derek shifted in his chair. Melissa used the workflow the way it was designed. That would have been an easy place for me to agree. It would have kept the problem with Melissa, maybe with Derek, not with my department. Instead, I closed the scorecard. She used the workflow the way we rewarded it. Patrice waited. We train teams to protect elite relationships and resolve issues quickly. We don't require them to document passenger impact before the case counts as resolved. Derek looked at me. I kept going. We measure speed more clearly than accuracy. That was the part I had not wanted to say. It was also the part the records supported. Patrice ordered a targeted review. Not every complaint. Only elite comfort escalations that had produced an action against a different passenger. The first group was small enough to examine individually. Several had clear, operational reasons. Others did not. In those cases, passengers had been moved, questioned, or delayed without a documented current behavior supporting the action. Only after Patrice separated those files did she compare demographics. Black passengers appeared disproportionately in the group with weak, factual support. Nobody called every case discrimination. The pattern did not require that claim. It showed something narrower. When the evidence requirement became softer, bias had more room to decide who carried the inconvenience. My phone rang while Patrice was still reviewing the cases. Crestway's corporate travel desk. They were trying to reroute Kendra because the delay threatened a scheduled healthcare partnership meeting in New York. Then the agent named the company. Veripoint Medical. I looked across the table. That was when I learned Kendra had founded it. Derek learned it at the same time. Nothing about the review changed. The seat record had already been examined. The comfort request still showed no factual basis. The pattern search was already running. Kendra only asked if the airline could still get her to New York. She meant that evening. A commercial executive called minutes later and offered to handle the situation privately. Kendra declined. Keep this in the passenger review. Patrice nodded. Then she suspended the workflow that let an elite comfort request create an action against another passenger. From now on, a second review was required. Elite complaints would still receive fast responses, but speed alone could no longer authorize a seat change, extra verification, or removal. Before we left the room, Patrice placed my quarterly loyalty scorecard in front of me. Near the top sat the line I had watched for years. Elite issue closed within 5 minutes. She tapped the line once. If checking the facts takes 6 minutes, what are we teaching employees to do? I looked at the page. For the first time that day, the problem was no longer sitting in 3A. Part of it was sitting in front of me. The formal review did not begin with Judith Carver. It began with the scorecard. Patrice Vaughn placed the loyalty metrics on the conference table. She set them beside the incident file from Flight 482. I was sitting across from Derek Sloan, Melissa Crane joined by video from Premium Services. Patrice started with Melissa. Judith had asked whether a quieter premium seat was available. Melissa had opened an elite comfort request, seen Judith's loyalty tier, and used the priority workflow to create an adjustment affecting Kendra Wallace. She had never spoken to Kendra. She had never documented a current behavior requiring action. Melissa received formal discipline and lost independent authority to create passenger-impacting elite adjustments while she completed retraining. Then Patrice turned to Derek. His responsibility was different. By the time Derek reached row 3, Kendra's boarding pass had already been confirmed. He also knew the comfort request did not describe any specific conduct. He still left Judith in 3A. He asked Kendra to step away. The disciplinary panel permanently removed Derek's authority to approve premium passenger impact decisions. He was also transferred out of premium cabin service leadership. Nobody added another punishment just to make the outcome feel larger. The authority he had misused was the authority he lost. Then Patrice looked at me. That part lasted longer. The review had examined the loyalty program itself. Our old system rewarded employees for resolving elite issues quickly, retaining high-value travelers, and closing service recovery cases. One target appeared on nearly every manager report I had reviewed. Elite issue closed within 5 minutes. The review found something our scorecard had never measured. A complaint could be marked successfully resolved even when another passenger had been moved, questioned, or delayed without enough factual basis. Kendra attended that meeting remotely. By then, Crestway's commercial division knew she was the founder of VeriPoint Medical. The healthcare partnership was still under evaluation. Patrice created a written separation between that negotiation and the passenger review. Kendra did not ask for Derek to be fired. She did not ask for special travel privileges. She asked that whatever rule replaced the old one apply to passengers whose names would never reach an executive office. Crestway approved the new standard the following week. Loyalty status could accelerate how quickly an employee responded to a complaint. It could not increase the credibility of the allegation. A comfort concern could not move another passenger, trigger additional verification, or change a confirmed seat unless staff documented specific current conduct or an objective operational reason. Non-emergency displacement required a second reviewer. Witnesses offering factual information had to be recorded in the case. The loyalty tier was also removed from the screen employees used to determine who actually held a seat or service entitlement. Status came later. Facts came first. Patrice's team reopened the earlier elite comfort cases with the same mechanism. Only cases lacking a documented basis were affected. Passenger records were corrected where necessary, and the people involved were notified that the original handling had been reviewed. Judith gave a final statement. She admitted that she had seen Kendra holding a valid boarding pass and still found it natural when employees asked Kendra to step aside instead of asking Judith to leave the seat. She did not offer a long explanation. Kendra thanked her for answering the questions. That was all. My own corrective action was less visible. I had to rebuild the loyalty scorecard. Speed remained important, Passengers should not wait unnecessarily for help. But closure time could no longer outrank accuracy. The new manager metrics required a documented factual basis, passenger impact review, and confirmation of any second approval before an elite case counted as successfully resolved. Several weeks later, I presented the first completed scorecard to Crestway's loyalty leadership team. The meeting ended late in the afternoon. Everyone left with the new packet. I stayed behind for another minute and turned back to the performance page. Verification accuracy was there. Passenger impact was there. Second review compliance was there. I searched for the line I had seen for years. Elite issue closed within 5 minutes. The 5-minute target was no longer on the page. If stories about fairness, dignity, and accountability matter to you, subscribe for more. This story is fictional,